人手足りないとこ教えるから。
うん。みつみちゃん。
何？
なんでもない。また明日。
Well, this didn't end up being the love storybook ending that I think we all ended up wanting, but it was a really fulfilling, enriching, and good episode 12 and good ending to this anime. Now, I say this anime because I can almost guarantee we're never going to get a season 2. I feel like the way that they ended this off was the intention of no continuation, which kind of sucks. I'm going to kind of praise it. But before I do, I want to gripe about one thing. And my one kind of gripe or my one criticism is when this was kind of pitched and when you look at the genre that it falls into romance. But the reality is this isn't a romance anime at all. And by the end of it, I was really hoping that we would get some kind of Shima, Mitsumi, something, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not necessarily saying that they need to kiss or lovingly hug, you know, but maybe hold hands, maybe go on an official date, maybe a confession, just something I think would have been great. Like at the end, obviously we have Shima who did Riz up our girl Mitsumi a little bit. He's like, you know, but I feel like if he would have been like, hey, I think I like you, just something to end on, I think I would have been pretty satisfied with that. But with those major things missing, I don't really think I could put this in the romance genre at all. I think this is just really, truly slice of life. And that's not a bad thing at all, but I think that I was just led to believe that this would develop into being a romance anime. And I think they were doing really, really well. A couple of things I was discussing with a few of you in the comments is I feel like episode 1 through 6 was really special. I think the writing was just incredibly extraordinary. And I think, you know, as we moved on to episode number 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, especially 9, 10, 11, I feel like there was something, a little spark that it had. I just feel like it was kind of lost a little bit, and it started to kind of not be really sure what it was or what it was trying to do exactly. And some of the extraordinary writing, I feel like, was kind of lost as well. Now, what I will say is episode 12 was really, really, really well written. And it might not be really well written from like a story constitute. And what I mean by that is like based on like what was occurring, but based on the characters' feelings, expressions, sentiments, and emotions, I feel like the writing was exceptional. And that's really where I feel Skip and Loafer really excelled the most, was really capturing the essence of being young, immature, and not really knowing. Now, a lot of people can say like, oh, you know, you could be like, oh, I'm very mature for this age or very mature for that age. But the reality is like, it takes a while for you to really gather and garner who you really are. Some people find that a lot earlier in life than others, but the reality is like you need to go through some things in life to be mature. And mature doesn't necessarily mean being able to act a certain way or be a certain way. It really means being 100% comfortable with who you are as a person. And typically, you know, when you're younger, you're finding that out, and that's completely okay. And that's what this captures, is that essence. So, main gripes, let me put it back down. Main gripes, 1 through 6, episode 1 through 6, incredible. Episode 7 through 11, okay. Episode 12, I thought was really good. Disappointment, it being in the romance genre, but the reality of it is this wasn't really romance. This was just truly a slice of life. And I guess the last gripe that I have is no true solution to Shima's problems that they introduced us to. One of the main issues was his issue with Ririka, and essentially the big kerfuffle about it was he led her to a party where they were younger, probably 12 or 13 years old. This probably happened 2 or 3 years ago. They were younger, and there happened to be some drinking going on, some sake or whatever. And what ended up occurring for that is she basically they got caught, okay? And that happened to kind of ruin her career a little bit. But even herself, this episode, she said it was her fault. He told her not to go. She was the dumbass. And I think he knew that it wasn't his fault, but he cared about her more. He cared about her more than worrying about whose fault it was. It was the fact that she still ended up being there. And he still kind of felt responsible for it. So today he finally let go of that responsibility and said, hey, however you feel, dude. Like, I'm letting it go at this point. Like, whatever you want to do it. And Ririka felt some type of way about that, but the reality is she just went about it really, really wrong, and she could have gone about it a lot of different ways, but she chose simply not to. So that's on her. But the real thing is he had a lot of familial issues, and we still don't know what the hell, like, what was a big... We know this was an issue here, but we don't know exactly what the hell happened with his dad, what happened with his mom fully. We have an idea, like, oh, you know, she was using him to act and stuff, but the reality is she wasn't really using him. He was deciding to act for his mom to try and make her feel better because of the things that were going on between her husband at that time, his dad and stuff. So it's like we didn't really close the door there. We just kind of left it open. We just said, I wonder what happened. And we never really solved his issues with his mom and stuff. Okay, so those are kind of like my gripes and my complaints. So what I loved about episode 12, though, outside of those things, is I liked that it was really capturing again, the essence of just being dumb and young, and I liked that Shima had to do some inner searching in himself, and he finally just kind of figured out that he's just jealous, and it's okay, but he was jealous of other kids, and he was jealous of the other kids who had a purpose, essentially. And throughout because he was a child actor, and it's very hard, he lost his purpose. His purpose was to act for his mom, but once that kind of became a null, he lost his purpose. He didn't know what to do for himself. And it's okay to be 15 or 16 years old. You don't know what the hell you're going to do. You don't need to know what you're going to do. And what you plan to do, you're going to end up doing something completely different 9 out of 10 times. So he was just jealous of the other kids. And I was like, that's really good writing, because that happens with a lot of people. It's like you don't really realize it. And some never realize it. They just feel angry and toxic and just like they're mean and they lash out. And they just don't understand, and they're just simply envious or jealous or whatever it is of this other people or groups of people, Then I think it was really well written too of Ririka. I really touched on it, but her entire scene of all the emotions that she felt in the car with her friend Chris, that's the version of herself that she needed to let Shima see. And I think she's beating herself up because she acted like a bitch to him. And then she's trying to self-forgive, and thankfully that Chris guy didn't let her, which is good. But it's okay, well, you needed to show this kind of thing to yourself. The other thing that I thought was really, really smart, and I don't know if you noticed it, but Mitsumi noticed something, and I think it was super, super important. But she realized, that as she was watching the interaction between Ririka and his mom, as she was watching the interaction between Chris and Ririka and Shima, she was noticing I can't come between them because I don't have the time that they have with each other. I don't have the same friendship that with Shima that they have, and I can't go and act like I do. But what I can do is I can be something different. I don't need to be them. I can be something new to him, and I can be something different. And I like how she kind of realized, this is not the time for me to insert myself because it won't work out well. But what I can do is just be myself and be this thing that he might need that's separate from his childhood friends. I'm his new friend, but this is what I bring to the table. And I was like, that's really powerful. And I'm glad that she picked up on that energy, because that's really, really good. That's where I'm talking about earlier, the extraordinary writing. That's extraordinary writing there. And I just thought that was just such a really cool moment for the character, for the development, and everything else. But then the episode, it wrapped up and it cleared up. And, at the end of it, Mitsumi got raised a little bit with our boy, and I just think it was a pretty good ending. Overall, I would say, at the end of it, I would say Skip and Loafer was solid 7 out of 10, but I would say the first 6 episodes were probably a 8.5, really, really, really good. I would just say as a package, overall, I would say it probably ended up at about 7 out of 10, which is a little sad because it had Horimiya potential to me to be this really incredible, unique, quirky love story, and it just didn't end up being that. So anyways, thank you for being with me all season long. I appreciate your guys' time. more than anything else in the world. Thank you so much. I'm going to see you guys in the summer for a lot of other anime that we're going to be watching. So hope to see you then. Friends, peace out.